Hi guys, welcome back to Caribbean G03. Welcome back to my kitchen. Today my sister will be in the kitchen doing canning. Yes, she's canning quick, easy Caribbean style Tuscan tree bean soup. Anyway guys, Chair the kitchen is all yours and I cannot wait to taste that soup because that sounds good. I love Tuscan soup as it is. I have no idea what the twist is for this one for her. But whatever it is, the twist is, we're gonna enjoy it. So, Jer, the kitchen is all yours, girl. Yes, guys, I will be leaving all the measurements, all the ingredients in the description below. And don't forget to subscribe and give us a thumbs up.
Okay, y'all. So today I am going to be making a three bean Tuscan soup, if you will. Um, and I'm gonna make enough to be able to bottle some. So we'll probably have a little bit of it and then most likely bottle majority of it. I want to be able to get at least maybe 8 pint-sized jars. Um, of this soup to put on a pantry shelf, as well as to clean out some of the stuff from my sister's freezer. So let's get started. I am going to be doubling the recipe clearly because I want to be able to save some um, making of the bottle and eat some as well. So this is 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil, and I'm going to let that heat up a little bit. I have the stove on medium heat so that I can put in the rest of these vegetables that we took out of the freezer. So we have our usual misfits. Um, we have some celery, onions, carrots. Yeah, I could see it starting to shimmer a little bit. Okay, so I think we're good and ready now. So let's put in the onions. Yep, I think we're good and ready. As you can see, there's a little bit of water left in the bottom of my pan there. And that's because this is onions that were frozen. We had some vacuum sealed bags of onions in the freezer. And it was time to take them out. All right. So I'm going to put in all of my frozen veggies. So there's the carrots. Those were also in the freezer. And the celery, as you can see, there's also water in there, but don't worry, I'm not throwing out that water. I'm just draining as much as I can right now so that I can get this to brown, because of course water is the enemy of browning. All right, I poured out some of that water that was in there. Okay. So let me sprinkle just a bit of salt, just a pinch of salt in here, just to make sure that my veggies don't taste bland. So just a pinch of salt. All right. Alrighty, y'all. So let's see if we got a little bit of browning. Oops. Not quite, but getting there. It's a little translucent now, so let's see if we can get some browning happening here. All right, I'm gonna leave it be so it can actually brown. Alrighty, y'all. So I think we've achieved some browning. There we go. It smells so good. All right. I think we got some browning happening now. There we are. As you can see there, right? All right. So that said, I am going to add my peppers now. So I have some cayenne pepper that I'm going to be adding. Of course, this is just for you, mother, as usual. Just for you, girl. There you go. Shucks. I'm going to put some the cayenne pepper because peppers dissolve really well and works better if you put them in oil. So that was cayenne, and I'm going to put about a half a teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper because I just freshly ground it. All right, so let's get that mixed in. Yes, all right. All right, I'm gonna let that settle for a bit. All right, y'all, so now I'm going to add my tomato, and this is a plunk. That is tomato, 2 cans. This is actually 2 cans of crushed tomatoes and fresh tomatoes that were frozen. I didn't have cans of whole tomato. So as you can see there, I have some grape tomatoes. These were all frozen. The whole tomatoes that are in here were all frozen. So I got those all out of the freezer along with the rest of the veggies. So this is supposed to be, well, not supposed to be, it could be a this could be a vegan soup if you substitute the chicken broth, which I am about to put in, with vegetable broth. I didn't have vegetable broth, so look, there's a whole plum tomato in here. I'm just breaking them up. Ooh, oh, oh, oh. I'm just breaking them up with a spoon. I'm going to add the chicken broth now so that that would not be splattering on me. Hello, hello, stop that. So this is, I'm only going to add about, I have a cup left in here. So I'm going to add about 3 cups of chicken broth, and I will bring this to a boil. Well, that was chicken stock actually. But you can use broth or stock, whatever you have. And like I said, if you want to keep it vegan, then use vegetable stock or vegetable broth. So I'm going to bring this to a boil. For about maybe 1 to 2 minutes, and then I will add my beans, which I have put in the Instapot, and pressure them for 20 minutes. I started out with raw beans, so I put 1 pound of each beans in the pressure canner, in the Instapot, and pressure them for the 20 minutes because I am going to cook them some more when they get into the pressure canner. So I didn't want them to turn to smush when they get into the pressure canner. So that's why I only half cook them. So after this gets to a boil for about 2 minutes, then I am going to add the rest of my ingredients, which basically is just oregano and thyme, and the beans, and then salt to taste. Alrighty, y'all. So my timer went off a few seconds ago. Oh Lord, I'm about to fog you all up. Sorry. That was not intentional. almost. So let me lower this. As you can see, this has come up to a boil already, and it was boiling for the 2 minutes that it was set to boil for. So at this time, I am going to, let's see, make sure all of my plum tomatoes are cut up. Yep, everything is cut. All right. Yep, it's cut. It's cut. Yep. Okay, that's cut. All right, so now at this time I am going to add the beans. But what I'm going to do is, since I have pressure canned, I'm sorry, I keep saying that. Since I have pressured them in the Instapot for 20 minutes, I am now going to drain off that liquid and just add the bean to the soup. Alrighty, y'all. So I just turned my heat down a little bit, and I turned it back up just now because this was boiling at a rapid rate and we did not want that. So I am going to add my black beans first. As you can see there, I have drained it. And I'm going to add that 1 pound of black beans. Stir that in for a little bit. I think that's starting to look real good already. And then I am going to add in my kidney beans. So there is my kidney beans. I am going to stir that gently. I'm going to add in a little bit more kidney beans.
Okay, guys, please don't forget to subscribe and give us a thumbs up.
And then I'm going to add in my white beans. Aha! That looked a little precarious, don't you think? Let's see. Okay, I like to take chances. All right, there we go. Alrighty, y'all. As you can see, I did not add any more salt to this just yet. So I am going to be salting this just about now. I'm going to add a little bit of salt, but I'm also going to add a little bit more chicken base to this. Now, if you're doing vegan or vegetarian, please make sure that you don't use my chicken base. Use the vegetable base or veggie stock or whatever other flavoring you might want to add in. And this is where I am going to now add in my Mexican oregano or whatever oregano you got. So I'm just going to literally just squeeze that in between my fingers there. Crush them up a little bit and add that. I am supposed to add at least about maybe 2. Ooh, Lord, this is smelling so divine. I'm supposed to add in at least about 2 tablespoons of fresh oregano or 1 teaspoon of dry oregano. And I am telling you, y'all, if you're doing this, you might want to get yourself some oregano perfume. You know, Ude oregano.
Ooh, that looks good.
So 2 teaspoons of oregano, dried oregano, or 4 tablespoons, of fresh oregano. And since I don't have fresh, oh my God, it smells divine, y'all.
Yes,
it just
does.
Smells divine. So I'm just gonna add an extra 1/4 teaspoon for good measure. For a very good measure. I'm beginning to think this is going to rank right up there with the split peas. We have no more split pea soup in this house with all the split peas I made. None. And for two people who never like split peas, my mother and my sister never, for as long as I've been growing up with these people, they never liked split pea soup. Even when my sister was in culinary school, she was apparently allergic to it.
You are so bad.
So the last of my ingredient now is my fresh basil, and I have about a cup of fresh basil in here because the actual single recipe calls for a half a cup of fresh basil. Or if you have dried, I don't want to chop it up. Get out of my pot. My sister is trying to get into my pot, and as you can see how full it is, if she gets in there, we're in trouble big time.
Okay.
All right, y'all. So the next thing that I'm going to add, like I said, will be a little bit of chicken base and some salt, since I haven't salted this yet. So let me just take a little taste. Yeah, needs a little bit of saltage and a little bit of acid. So for the acid part of this, I'm going to be adding just a little bit of vinegar, a little, like a capful, because it does needs a little bit of acid, even though the tomatoes do have acid. It needs a little bit of, I just put in a capful of white distilled vinegar. And just know that even though this looks thick, it really isn't thick. So when I put them in my pint-sized jars, and I'm using regular amount jars, I will be topping them off with the rest of the chicken broth, because this soup does call for 8 cups for this amount, 8 cups of chicken broth or stock. But as you can see, I only added 3 into the pot. So the rest of it will be used to top off the jars when I put them into the jars. And once that's done, at this point, once that's done, then I am going to put the rest of the leftover chicken broth and some of the soup that's left in this pot is what we're going to be eating for dinner. So I'm going to let this come up to a boil, and I am going to get my chicken broth here. Right. Sorry, I'm going to get my little bit of, I'm just getting some of the liquid here so I can put some of my chicken base into it and then get it into the pot. Okay, so here is my chicken base. All right, let's stir this up. And just be mindful, remember this is a tomato-based soup. So if it's a little too acid for you, feel free to add a little bit of sugar to your taste. I think my pot is just a bit full, but I'm going to keep stirring, and then I'm going to cover this up and let this come to a boil for about 20 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to try to taste this again. I think it needs a little bit more cayenne pepper, but I'm not going to add more pepper because remember, I'm pressure canning this and those flavors can intensify. So I don't think I want to do that. All right, y'all. Oh, that oregano is smelling so good in this. So I am just going to add a little bit of cumin because I don't think I added the cumin. So let me just add a pinch of cumin. Not a lot, probably about maybe, I'd say for this about maybe 1 2 teaspoons of cumin. Ground cumin would be really good in this. All right, so let me let this come up to a boil. I'm gonna taste for a little bit more. Oh yeah, it needed that cumin. And I'm sure it will need a little bit more salt. So I'll just put a little bit of salt because again I am topping it off with chicken broth at the end of this. So I will put a teeny bit of salt. So that was probably about maybe 1 to 2 teaspoons of salt. And then I'm going to stir this one last time, and that will be that. So now I will just let it boil. All right, let's see here. I'm going to let it boil. Taste one last time, and then I'll let it boil and taste it again. All right. I'll bring you back when it's done. Alrighty, y'all. All right. Sorry about that. I most likely got you all fogged up again. So this is what the final soup that's going to be bottled looks like. And it does look a little thick, don't you think? But like I said, I will be topping it off with the rest of the chicken broth. So I am going to now turn off the stove and start bottling. I will start bottling this soup. And if you're not canning, you want to continue to boil this for an additional um, 10 minutes or so to make sure that your beans is nice and tender. So I'm going to take one and I will squash it, and you can see I'm squeezing it. Sorry, you can see I'm squeezing it, but it's not um, soft yet. So that's why it's ready for it to go into the bottles and then put it in the pressure canner. Um, but you would need to continue to cook this, or if you're using canned beans, then you cook it for about 20 minutes once you get everything together. And you're at this stage, you want to continue to cook it for an additional 20 minutes if you're using canned beans. If you're using dry beans that you pressure cooked, then you can do the same thing as well. Just put everything together and let the soup cook for 20 minutes, and then it's ready to serve. And you can have this with polenta, with rice, with couscous. You can have it with potatoes, and whatever meat you choose to have it with. We are most likely going to have ours with chicken or shrimp, because that's the only cooked meat we have in the fridge right now, and some white rice. So I will let you see the final canning once it's done being canned. All right. If you try this recipe and you um, make any changes, or if you've done it before and you've done it differently, please feel free to share. I will be happy to try new experimental recipes too. So please feel free to share. My sister will leave the ingredients for this soup um, in the description or wherever she leaves it. She will leave the recipe in there, but remember that recipe will be for um, four servings, because it's gonna be a half of what I just did, because this is for 8 servings or more. Again, if you try it, please let us know. And if you try something different or do something different, please do share. All right, enjoy, y'all. Alrighty, y'all. So this is now the phase of our canning. Ow. Not the smartest thing to do, because that was mighty hot. So I am going to get some hot water to be able to steam, well, not steam, to um, make sure these jars are hot because I'm doing a hot pack. So I am just pouring some hot water into my jar, and one should never walk with very hot water. So that said, there we are. Ow. I'm going to take some of these jars off of this tray. It's going to be easier for me to handle. Okay. I think that's better. Okay, so I'm sure you've seen me do pressure canning before. So I'm just going to do a few of these. And like I said earlier, I am going to top this up with a little bit of chicken broth. Now, these beans have already been cooked. Well, not completely cooked. So I'm just going to do about maybe a little more than a half or three quarters full of for these jars, and then fill them up. Maybe I'll put in a little bit more, just a tad bit, just to bring it up to that where the graduation for the marks stop. And then I am going to top that up with some broth. This is actually, oh, it's hot, and it's a mixture of broth and chicken broth and chicken stock. All right, not quite. We're not quite there, but I'm gonna get my little ladle because I think that will work a little better. Um, that popping you're hearing in the back there is my pressure canner coming up to temperature. All right, let me just pour a little bit more just to give it a 1 inch head space. There we are. Like I said, I'm doing a hot pack, so I'm going to debubble this, because even though it's liquidy, it is still has solids in it, so you still want to debubble. Okay. Now I'm going to wipe this off. Always clean the lid, the mouth of your jars with a little bit of vinegar. And then you really don't need to be soaking these anymore. But because I thought they were a little dusty, I washed them all off and then I kept them in the water, hot water. And again, with this is always just, I'm going to move it over here so you can see better. This is always just fingertip tight to allow some of the air to come out when this is done pressure canning. So this first one I'm going to take into the pressure canner. So I'm going to take this into the pressure canner so I can give myself some room over here. So I will continue to do the rest of these jars, fill them up, and hopefully I can get up to at least maybe a good, I'm thinking maybe 18 jars. I think that's a little much in that one, but that's okay. Pour some of this broth in here. Let's make sure we're there. There we are. Okay, so now I'm gonna get this one ready for the next. One of these days I'll remember to bring my debubbler. And off to the canner we go. Alrighty, y'all. So I am going to take this one to the canner. Oops. I'm going to take this one to the canner and then continue filling the rest of the jars. And I'll bring you back when it's all done.
Okay, guys, all the bottles are in. There are 2 layers and it's ready to go. So my sister will start doing her stuff now. We'll start pressure canning. Okay, guys, taste test. And meal prep. I took advantage. My bad. Dinner is served.
Yes, Lord. Alrighty, y'all. So this is the final product of the Tuscan 3-bean soup that we made yesterday. I left it to rest overnight and then I decided that I am going to just leave him be. Um, I ended up getting 14 jars of soup. Um, and I'm not sure how long that's going to last on the shelf. Might be ranking right up there with the split pea soup that we have no more of. And because I needed to run a full canner, and my canner takes 18 pint sized jars, I ended up having some extra leftover red kidney beans and white beans. So I just put those in the pint sized jars as well and pressure can those so that I could get my full canner with 18 pint sized jars. So that said, if you guys have leftovers of soup, whatever it may be, you can certainly put them in your jars and can them and pressure can them so that you can preserve them and not have to use freezer space because these will be able to sit on your shelf and be readily available when you want them, which is the purpose of this. So I'm trying to get stuff out of my sister's freezer, and this is how I'm getting them out. So the next soup that I'm going to be making is, well, whatever we find in the freezer. I saw some pork in there that she wants to get out of the freezer because she has more than enough pork in there. So I guess my next soup is going to be something porky. All right. So if you guys try this Tuscan 3-bean soup, as I'm calling it, please feel free to share if you do anything different or if you have tried it before. My sister will leave the ingredients and measurements in the, I guess, somewhere down there in the description below, somewhere in there. Anyhow, please feel free to share. I really do like to try other people's suggestions or um, whatever they different things they do with their pressure canning or preserving. So please feel free to share. Anyways, enjoy.
Okay, guys, that's so. I know how long you'll stay on the shelf, but I didn't say that about that. Guys, that soup was so good. hmm. It's supposed to be on the pantry shelf. Hmm. I don't know how much is on the pantry shelf. Will be on the pantry shelf. I'm not saying. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe. Tap that bell so you don't miss my other video. And don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Stay safe. God bless. And I will see you guys in my next video. Yes.